Rosita. Rosita really surprised me over the whole season, because at the beginning I was not sure if she's gonna be like a superficial assistant character. I was hoping not, and I was not like thinking that she would be, but there was the fear that she would be, or that she just would be easily integrated into the Earp squad and everyone would be a family and all the tensions would be like under the surface, like with Doc and Dolls, but in the end everyone would be fine. And Rosita actually betrays the Earp squad. Like right after the scenes where we had the feeling, finally we're adopting her into our small Earp family, where we kind of stood on her side when she had to be the guinea pig for the anti-venom thing. And it really suits Rosita's characters that she betrays them. So I think, like, character-wise, this is very well written, and of course everyone is like, no, and we hate Rosita, and how can she do this? But people know, I mean, I loved Willa the first season, I love Rosita this season. It was just very well done. And if we take a look at Rosita, of course she makes her choices to be kind of evil in this moment, but she also always had to make shady deals through the whole episode. She starts with the deal with Doc, which is, I offer you protection for you being my chemist. And then there was the deal with Wynonna, I shoot you last and therefore you go through all this pain as a guinea pig. And she has always been used, and even in the alternative universe, Doc kind of enslaved her to be her chemist, and I think that was an interesting symbolism to him offering protection in the beginning, because isn't that what he did anyway? Like, isn't it the same thing? So Rosita making all these shady deals and deciding whom to make a deal with is very interesting, but we still see that she's trying to act tough, but she's very scared. So when Peacemaker is pointed at her, she's very scared, and when she doesn't get killed by Peacemaker but like grazed by Peacemaker, you see that she was so afraid to die, to go back to hell, that she runs away because she doesn't want to die. And I think that really speaks for her character, and I think we're going to see her again. Wynonna promised to hunt her down, and Wynonna will keep that promise for sure. And the interaction, I mean, it was an easy way of getting the like interaction of Waverly out of the way, because Waverly kind of was friends with Rosita, and I think the hitting Waverly over the head, making her unconscious thing ends that friendship, kind of, so they don't have to deal with that anymore. On to one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode, the shootout in the middle of the road right in front of Shorty's. I liked it that much because it was very Western-like, so you of course had like the widows on both sides, which by the way, when they got shot they dissolved in little spiders, so check I think my last video for the spider theory. And then we had this like two evil entities trying to make a deal with Wynonna. Then we had Doc being the best gunslinger of them all, like splitting a bullet into two, and it magically hit both of the widows, just saying physics-wise this is completely impossible, we're watching a supernatural show, just deal with it. And that was just very well orchestrated, also with all the people behind it. The lighting was beautiful, it was very cool action sequence. And the interesting thing is that happens like in the middle of the episode, I think after 20 minutes, and you think, what else is there to come? And so much more comes, but it's basically beating the like ultimate opponents of the season during the middle of the season finale, and then you're just like, we still have 20 minutes, what is happening? But what is happening at the end is that we get this like family moment in the end, so we get everyone kind of hugging and being happy together. I think not everyone is there, but it's kind of this short moment of, we beat the widows, we've done it, and I really like that because they're all in there, and it kind of connects to the scene at the end of the episode where you see Dolls, Jeremy, Waverly, and Nicole being together and drinking coffee and laughing together in like a slow motion thing. There's a slow motion again. There's almost a slow motion in every episode. You know, I'm talking very fast, but there's so much to say. Let's talk a bit about the cliffhangers we're left with. So we're left with a few cliffhangers. I made a list. I always do lists, you know this. So we have Bobo promised Waverly to Bolsha as his wife, which is weird, but I think he wouldn't have done that if she wasn't some kind of supernatural entity, just as a human, maybe not. I mean, all of his wives were kind of powerful, corrupted, but powerful. So we see where this goes. It's of course super, super weird, but whatever. It's Bobo the Ray. Then we still have Bobo being alive at the bottom of the well, which is, I think, a good choice. You know, I've not been a big fan of Bobo coming back, but in the end, seeing that, especially in the comics, Bobo the Ray is always the omnipresent opponent. He's always there, he's always pulling the strings, he's always important. And maybe bringing him back and being that kind of figure is very true to the comics and the mechanism within the comics. I don't like how they brought him back, but technically having him back makes sense in the overall universe of Wynonna Earp. Then we do have Jeremy being some kind of supernatural being, whatever kind, maybe a seer, something. I'm thinking it's not going to be that big of a deal, but what is interesting is that it probably leaves Nicole as the only human of the group. Doc is now human, but he lived for hundreds of years, so I think that's not really counting. But it's kind of these interesting mechanism where all of the groups in Supernatural series have at least one person who's a human. So I think it was Lauren in Lost Girl, and I think we had Xander and Buffy. So that's very interesting for me. We have Nicole's divorce, but I think this is not going to be a big problem. So, but we have Nicole getting the full about Bolsha and sharing this like look with dolls, and dolls is nodding at her and they look very serious. And she has the ring of Bolsha, which is basically a weapon of mass destruction. So what's going to happen with that? Also interesting question, where did BBD go? We learned a lot about the Black Badge Division in the Purgatory Case Files, which was more like a different storyline on its own. But it's interesting if we're going to see the Black Badge Division again, if we solved like all these mysteries around it for one whole season. Then, last big reveal, Wynonna knew where Mama Earp has been, and I think they've been talking because Wynonna comes back and tells her, yes, you were right, Bolsha is back, what do we do now? And they meet, so we're gonna see Mama Earp in the next season, which is probably also gonna give us a bit more insight on who's like Waverly's father, how did that come to be. So this is gonna be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to actually meet Mama Earp. One last takeaway before I leave you is that we know where Gus is. Gus is alive and outside the Ghost River Triangle, and she will be taking care of the baby. But we were all kind of wondering where Gus vanished to through the whole season, at least in the fandom it was kind of a question. And this question was solved, and I think very nicely. I assume that they probably didn't include Gus in the like writing process because she was a minor character, to be honest, and maybe the actress didn't have time or whatever, but it's really nice that we kind of get this Gus moment and know, oh, okay. Also, Perry coming in with a helicopter and very bulky looking personal security guys. Very nice moment. We had Perry for like 3 episodes, which is unusual, but very nice. I think he was a great addition character-wise, and this kind of Wynonna's good deeds paying off thing. So I'm done with my recap for this episode. I'm probably gonna do a recap of the whole season, but for me that requires re-watching the whole season, so it will take 2 months or something. I'm starting a new job. I will also do a recap of the Purgatory Case Fights, but after they ask me anything on Reddit, because that might clarify a few questions. It doesn't really make sense to do a recap of it until then. Then we see each other next season. I'm not sure if I will still be doing recaps. I hope I will, but it's a lot of work and life changes. And thanks for everyone who has been watching.